knowing everything that we can about the behavior of this virus, or even how widespread it may be, especially when you consider some of the studies that have come out showing, separate university studies with rather sizable survey selections, where it indicates that it's perhaps more prevalent than we thought, but people didn't show symptoms. But the more we learn about it, the more that people are wondering if the fatality rate isn't even actually lower than what's reported. And I'm speaking of this, I'm being genuinely curious here, because there's not a stereotypical coronavirus patient. I mean, we can't, like I said, we can't explain why there are younger people who have no other extenuating health factors that are impacted harder than some of the elderly. The symptoms are inconsistent. There is tons of questions over oversight. The way that hospitals are counting the Wuhan coronavirus deaths, and maybe the reason why. I mean, I had one story, we talked about this last week, where New York City included 3,700 fatalities that they added to the coronavirus death toll, but yet none of these people had ever been tested. They did not a single one of the 3,700 had a positive test result, and they just kind of assumed it was they were including them. De Blasio said in one of his press conferences that they were going to start including this in their presumed coronavirus cases data, right? And so this, that's not science. That's not scientific, and it's incredibly important. And then this creates questions. And you can even look at Snopes at DanielAsh.com. I have Snopes even linked to this, and I was trying to be as generous as possible. But there were questions as to, okay, are there some instances where cases are being counted as coronavirus cases because of Medicare payments? And this came from a Minnesota State Senator, Dr. Scott Jensen, and he was saying that Medicare takes, a certain dollar amount payment to hospitals that have patients who are admitted with the coronavirus and they're placed on ventilators. But he said, I mean, it's not a one-size-fits-all figure, but it does appear to be like anywhere from $13,000 to whatever. And so as a result, this naturally is leading people, when you have that amount of patients, of fatalities, where there aren't confirmed cases and they're just being included as presumed, and then you also understand the Medicare payment part of it, okay, naturally you're going to have questions that arise, and you can't be mad at people if they seem conspiracious to you because they have those questions. It's because the government that is instituting this stuff is not being transparent about it. I don't know how else to put it. Here's the other thing. This illness it's not mandatory death. Cuomo had accused the White House of not offering enough help. Remember the whole thing with ventilators? Now they have so many damn ventilators, they're sending them out to other states. They sent the USNS Comfort, which, by the way, was underused. That's also cited at the website, but I have a ton of stories on this. It was, underused. And then he said the other day that it's actually not needed. This is in BC, New York. Cuomo tells Trump, yeah, well, we don't really need it in New York anymore. So we thought that the administration everybody was attacked over it. So that's why I'm saying the presence of the virus is not a guarantee of death, but the absence of an economy is absolutely death for many people. This is not up for discussion. This is fact. It is absolutely economic hardship. Here's the Los Angeles Times. Economic hardship tied to increase in U.S. suicide rates, especially in rural areas. And they were able to tie peaks in suicides to economic instability. And that's just one of many, many studies and reports about this. So it is absolutely death for a lot of people. This whole, I'm sorry about your livelihood, or I'm sorry about your domestic violence, but we got a pandemic, that's insane. That is crazy messaging for somebody to have. And then telling a reporter that that those out of work can just go take a job as an essential worker. First off, he's telling her that she's non-essential. And who are you to determine? Who is the government to determine what is or is not essential? Because I thought that determination lied with the American people, who give power by the authority of their consent to their elected officials. He also sounds like somebody who's never, ever, ever, ever had to live paycheck to paycheck. Yeah, his whole economic hardship. He was, a pretty well-to-do raised governor. And this is also incredibly removed from cause and effect. Here's another headline for you. This comes CNN though, but there's several other ones like this. Coronavirus pandemic could cause global famines of biblical proportions. Yeah, well, and then what happens if it hits the continent of Africa? Yeah, we get economic anxiety, but his entire statement betrays that. He doesn't think she understands that other families fear death, but he doesn't realize that other families also fear death that goes along with economic hardship. And then depression, anxiety, sleep aid, all those prescriptions are on the rise. Child abuse cases have increased. Here's one of the things that I added into this. I get engaged in binary tribalism. This is on DanaLash.com. And I could argue that the demand for economies to remain shuttered means you want 130 million people to starve to death. Because that's what advocates of extending stay-at-home orders have done. They've castigated small and large businesses as wannabe murderers, and they refuse to accept the reality of their demands. Hospital closures, that's another one. There is no option, folks, that eliminates any kind of risk. None. The flattening the curve thing is not about reducing the number of infections. You're reducing the number of people who get infected at the same time. The entire point was to avoid overwhelming medical facilities. This is going to come back to bite him, this soundbite. This was bad. That was just awful. So coming up, some of what we have. Did you see that weird interview with the Las Vegas mayor? I thought it was weird in the way that everyone reacted to the stuff that she was saying. We're going to discuss that coming up. And we have Roger Stone, who's going to be coming up on the way as well. Blink motion activated cameras. If you don't have them, you need to get them, because first off, there's no subscriptions, no contracts, and they're so easy. They're wireless. You can put them up absolutely anywhere. They run on 2 AA lithium batteries that last for up to 2 years, and this is a great way now in this era of social distancing to keep an eye on packages and talk to those who are delivering things to your home. It's a great way to keep an eye on kids as well. System started just $79.99. And the two-way talk feature, you can speak to the person through your smartphone. When Blink notices any kind of movement, you check your Blink smartphone app, they send you an alert and a video clip, and that's all there is to it. Where do you need Blink cameras? Think about it. Visit blinkprotect.com/Dana. That's blinkprotect.com/Dana. Blink is an Amazon company and works with Alexa.